Welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk with Angel and Nathaniel, an interview series designed to reconnect with our peers on a professional and personal level. Each episode will feature a special guest from the department. We hope to learn something new about one another in a post pandemic world. Today's special guest is Morgan. How are we this morning, Morgan?
Hi, doing good. How are you guys?
Fantastic as always, which is my
Welcome.
normal
I love that
saying.
we can see your coworker kind of in and out of the break room. So that's really
Right.
fun.
He's going from door to door. He's like, let me
Mom,
out.
let me out, please.
Right. That's
Nope.
great.
But
Well,
yeah, so
oh,
clearly
go
I
ahead.
work from home life.
That's
That's
right.
right. That's right. Well, as you know, this is kind of our interview series where we ask a series of questions. Some are work related, some are fun. We just try to sprinkle in, as best we can to get a nice balanced mix for everyone to get to know more about Morgan. So I'll start our questions out today. So, Morgan, tell us about your role here.
Yes. So I work out of the call center, but of course, since COVID, now I work from home. So you have just your typical insurance sales agent doing the daily grind of sales. I really do enjoy working from home. I know before it was saving an hour and a half commute
Oh,
to
wow.
and from.
Wow.
So
Wow.
for me, it's been a total game changer, whether it be just um, peaceful, not doing that daily drive, because it was a little stressful sometimes, especially over those winter months.
Yeah, I
Right.
can understand that. So when you say call center agent, elaborate for those that may not know exactly what that means.
Well, to me, the venue, you're at the call center, you have a nice
Hmm.
cube sitting
Okay.
there. It's really different from the store agents where you're not having a lot of face-to-face
Okay.
interactions with your clients. Typically everything's by phone or email.
Sure. Okay.
Um, I honestly don't ever have any clients that request doing a FaceTime or Teams chat. Really, they're totally okay with communicating by email or phone. Over the past, I would say, year and a half or so, been really taking a
Hmm.
step with the web leads.
Okay.
So, anytime like the internet leads come through, whether they be from branch or the AAA site, Dylan, Seneca, and I, and Rella have really been taking a hold on those. So, as far as having a lot of leads come in, a lot of clients, it's really fast. It's a very fast paced environment.
Nice.
And my boyfriend and family can tell you there are days where it's just phone call, phone call, phone call. You don't have, it is really busy. And I was a store agent when I worked at the AAA in North Carolina,
Hmm.
and definitely a different pace. Whereas in the store, I was up talking to the travel agents, talking to, people that came into the store, the car care.
Sure.
Yeah. And, a lot of people sitting at your desk, which I like. And I sometimes miss that face to face interaction, but
Hmm.
now people get my voice. So I try to, the biggest thing with the call center is your personality really has to come through
Right.
on that phone call.
I think that's absolutely true. And I was just gonna say that the call center or the inside sales agent is not a position that everybody can do. Just because you're an insurance agent doesn't mean you would be good at it. I would not. I would not be good at it because, like you, I like that interaction with people, seeing people. So it takes a special person. And you're right, your personality has to come through, your smile has to come through, and you have to kind of it's a different process. It's a different proposal with somebody on the phone as opposed to sitting at your desk. So
I
it's
think
awesome
so.
you can do it because not everybody can.
And
This
you have
is
to be
true.
super organized. That's another thing. I kind of felt like when I had my desk at the store, we had a huge filing cabinet. Sometimes it was easier to keep things in paper form. But that
Right.
could also be, as time goes on, we are more tech savvy. But I feel like with how fast paced, this is, you have folders upon folders, and you have to like really be fast. You're getting that
Right.
DocuSign basically on that one call close. Like I have that pushed out before sometimes I'm even done with the phone call. Like
Right.
you're just multitasking like crazy. but
and
I
not
enjoy it.
sounding like you're multitasking. That's the key, right? You're still engaged with a client, but you're doing 5 other
Yeah.
thing and they don't know it.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes I'll ask questions that I already know the answer to just so it gives me a buffer time to like finish
Right.
something. Like I might already have their license numbers, but I'm like, hey, go fetch those for me just so it gives me
Right.
time to
Real
get
quick.
something else
That's
done.
right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, those are good tips and tricks that I'm sure some of the other
Mhm.
call center agents could definitely, utilize if they're not, buying yourself that time in order to be able to complete everything. So that way,
Yeah.
the faster that you have everything completed, when you get the next call, you're ready for that. Again, like you said, the one call closed, you're ready to, get that one finalized and move on to the next. So
Mhm.
awesome.
So that leads me to my next question. Sounds like you have worked in insurance for a little while, but what led you to this career? Oh, she's
So-
giggling already.
It's one of those things I really just kind of stumbled into it because let's be real, I don't think, when I graduated college, it wasn't like I'm going to be an insurance agent.
Right.
That's what I always say. Nobody
Well, I
ever
didn't really understand it anyway. It's not a
Right.
product that, unless you're in insurance, you don't really know what it is.
Right.
You have it.
Sure.
But no, I moved to North Carolina after school, total on a whim. Just no job. My boyfriend and I at the time just moved from Ohio University to Charlotte. I got a job doing door-to-door sales with direct marketing for AT&T.
Wow.
At the time, I
Talk
thought it was
about
really
another
cool.
challenging position.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I did that for 2.5 years. I had a good team under me. That definitely took a lot of grit because you're out
Mhm.
knocking on doors, selling TV and internet, essentially. At the
Right.
same time, you're interviewing people and training. That was fun. But after 2.5 years, again, my boyfriend who I moved with, he was in life insurance. That was his
Okay.
job that he got when we moved down there. And it was kind of the same thing. He was knocking on doors. It was very different, but just different product.
Right.
So when he got a promotion to open up a satellite office in Wilmington, he asked me, of course, if I wanted to join his team. And I was like, it's basically what I'm doing now. Just,
Right.
instead of selling TV, I'm just learning life insurance. So I
Yep.
kind of did that. And then we did that for about a 2-year period. And then as him and I kind of, went our separate ways, I was like, you know what? Instead of talking about life insurance and working in this office, let me go to AAA. And then one of my really good girlfriends, she lived in Charlotte, and one of her high school friends worked at AAA as the recruiter. And again, we go back to the brand of AAA. Everyone,
Right.
you just feel like there's a lot of trust there.
Yep.
So moving out of state, not having a lot of family there, I knew AAA. I felt comfortable.
Mhm.
And I knew in my heart I wanted to come back to Ohio. So I was like, well, there's a AAA in Ohio. And then they did talk to me, like, hey, start here. And if you want to move back up, we'll help you. So it definitely a God's path, he
go.
had it planned. So it definitely worked out for the best of reasons.
Great.
Right. Well, we're
That's
happy
great.
that you're here. So tell us, with your time in, did you say North Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been with AAA?
I think this is my 6th year.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Going on number 6.
That's great.
And then
Wow.
in Charlotte, it was only for 1 year
Okay.
Mhm.
down there. So I kind of felt bad. Like, you're doing so well down there and you're meeting really awesome coworkers, but then you're like, peace, I'm moving to Ohio. Thank you for
Gotta
all the
go.
training.
Yeah. Gotta go back home.
Right.
I felt bad doing that, but they were so understanding and they knew the position I was in, like I
Sure.
said,
Right.
kind of was down there with no family. And you're like, okay, it's time to come home. They definitely
Right.
were a huge help. And then when I moved here, they gave me the contact for Ed.
Mhm.
So that's when the recruiter in North Carolina reached out to Ed, and him and I just really hit it off on the phone. And then I came in for the call center interview.
Yay for us.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
And it was
Well,
so nice. Instead of going door to door for like the life insurance, going into people's homes,
right.
and cold calling for appointments, when they said call center 9 to 5,
Mhm.
internet
Done.
leads. I'm like,
Sold.
You were like, sold.
Sold.
Sign me up.
Like,
Sign
I'm
me
not
up.
having to drive an hour between appointments. No, like, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how thrilled I was coming to AAA Ohio at the time.
I
That's
can
awesome.
imagine, especially
Mhm.
having to, I've been on the, the door-to-door side, and that's definitely a challenge trying to coordinate with people's schedules. You showing up,
Mhm.
like you said, you're driving an hour between appointments to find out that they're not there. So yeah, it can be
Circling
definitely
back.
challenging. Yeah,
And just the
definitely so.
time, there was no work-life balance. And that was a big thing to me coming here was, before we'd be at that office at 7:30. And then if you're meeting with, because we did union families for the life insurance. If you're meeting with a policeman who doesn't come home till 11 at night, or a firefighter or someone,
Yeah,
you're not getting home till midnight, 1 o'clock. And if you have a trainee with you, you take them home.
right.
Like, so this 9 to 5, like, that's why I try to do so much within that time period, because I know what it's like to work after that. And it's like, no, you just value, having a 4-year-old now, and just like different things, like life changes. And you're just like, that work-life balance means everything.
Yeah, that is
It really
huge.
does. Yeah.
So with your career, obviously in the sales aspect, I'm sure you have multiple stories of either clients that you've either talked to or sold policies for or to. So my question is, what's the best compliment you've ever received?
Okay. So when you guys sent me the questions and I read that, the first thing that came to my mind when I was working out of the Lake Norman branch for AAA, I had an older client that would come in. She was like in her 80s, was able to switch her over to AAA after a few different conversations. But she wrote the nicest letter. She sent it to the president of AAA in North Carolina. And I still have it saved. And I have the hard copy somewhere, but I always make sure that it's like in one of my folders on my desktop.
Sure.
Just because it was just the sweetest. Like, I forget like what her husband did, but he must have been really high up in whatever company. So he like in her letter, she just like, mentioned it's really important to give people praise when it's due.
Right.
So she talked about, how comfortable I made her with the transition from her current carrier to AAA, and how every time she'd come into the store, I always, make sure that she'd come over and sit. We would, talk about her policies or whatever. She would bring us donuts every couple of weeks. She was like one of those clients that like, keeps coming in.
Right.
But I loved it. And that
Those
was like
are the
one of the
best ones.
sweetest letters. Like, it was just, full of compliments.
Love
So,
that.
nice
That's
to me.
awesome. If you're having a bad day, you can pull that back up, right?
Yeah. And, there are times where like I've reread it just to, like, yeah, I don't know.
It's
Like,
good
I don't have
that-
to read it to remind myself how to treat clients, but
Right.
it's nice to read it sometimes.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good it's something to reassure you that one, that you're in the right field because you are making a difference in, someone else's life. And two, it just makes you feel good that, someone appreciates you. So,
right.
You can make that impact just by being an insurance agent.
yeah.
That's right. Well, and I say sometimes, this can be a thankless job, right? We work hard and we do things for people and they don't acknowledge it or it doesn't matter. And, insurance is not at the forefront of everybody else's mind, but when they do, it's a big deal because, we take clients very seriously
Yep.
and their needs very seriously. So it's always nice to have that praise.
Yes. Thank you.
Indeed.
All right. Well,
Indeed.
you're an expert at taking care of clients. So this will not be the answer to the next question. But if you could snap your fingers and become an expert at something, what would it be?
So there are two things.
Okay.
That
We
I
can
love
allow
to
two.
That's right.
Yeah.
We have time. We've got
That's right.
time.
Yeah, because it's like you have a serious one and then you have like a fun one. So the more serious one I would love to learn sign language.
Okay.
Like if I could learn anything, like I just, when you're watching like politics or anything, you have that person on the side that's like signing.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I wish I could do that.
Yes.
That is so cool.
Right.
But then the fun one would be baking.
Okay.
I always thought it'd
Oh.
be so fun to like own a bakery or a cupcake shop.
Mhm.
But now since COVID, they're everywhere, so it's less intriguing. It's kind of like everyone's doing it out of their
Right.
house.
Well, let me put it out there. If you ever
Yeah.
decide I'm a taste tester, I would be happy to
Yeah.
do that for you. I'll take
Yes.
one
Oh,
for
for
the team.
sure. But how fun
2023.
would that be just to like not have to use we love to cook in our household. Like we're always cooking new recipes and baking, but it would be nice not to have to use the recipe card. Just automatically know like what goes with what, and the decorations of like a big wedding cake. That would be so fun to have that skill.
2023 will change it from coffee talk to coffee and donut talk. So yeah, you're in. You're in.
Yeah,
We can have a
that's
segment of
right.
you, baking. We can add that in completely. We'll take care of it. We'll get to
We've decided with it pretty much everybody we need a spin-off interview because
That's
there's so
right.
much more to say and see.
That's right.
Reality show. Morgan
That's
opens
right.
up a bakery.
That's right. With all your free time.
Yeah, with
So-
all the free time.
Right. So now that we've learned about the sign language and the baking, what's one thing most people don't know about you besides you wanting to become an expert in those two things?
Well, there's a lot, but like, one thing that's recent, because I feel like whenever you get asked this question in interviews, you always kind of go back to certain things. You're like, man, I've used that for years. But a new one would be, over the last, I would say, year and a half, maybe 2 years, I started playing pool.
Okay.
So my boyfriend is really big into playing pool, and he's super good. So I was always watching these tournaments and, watching all these people play. And my dad and my uncles and my grandpa, they always played growing up.
Right.
And then, of course, in college, I bartended, so I played a little bit, during the happy hour time. And after I was watching him, I'm like, you know what? I think I could be good. So let me just dabble in this. He got me into a couple leagues
Okay.
here locally and started really getting good. Our team won first place last year out of our county, which we went to bigger tournaments. And now I play out of tournaments. We travel a lot. We go out of state and then all throughout Ohio. And
Oh, wow.
I've really taken on the craft. And you can't tell, but that room back there used to be our living room. And now there's a big pool table in it because it was the only place to put it. So we had to move our living room to a couple other guest bedrooms.
That's
Jesus.
hilarious.
Jesus.
That's
But yeah,
hilarious.
there's a lot of pool playing here, and
A
that's just
cupcake,
something.
a cupcake baking,
Joy.
wedding cake making, pool shark.
That's right.
Yeah. But with playing pool though, my brothers and sisters, I have 6 siblings, and out of the 6, there's 2 others that play. And we all play together. So it's definitely helped with the, sibling bond.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah. So we're all, and his family plays too. Like his mom is really big into it. So
Right.
it's kind of nice for that family thing. I'm kind of in it too.
You're part of the club.
That's
I'm
right.
part of the club. I'm not saying I'm great, but I can
Well, if
play.
you win a few tournaments, you have to
I
be
think
some
so.
level of
Yeah,
good in order
I'm
to
confident.
win some tournaments.
And
Yeah.
one of our other AAA coworkers, Lynn Cantor,
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, she's really big into pool too. And there's times I've ran into her up in Columbus at some tournaments.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, so they're AAA pool family.
There
That's
you
right.
go.
It's growing.
Right.
We have a pool table, but I'm terrible. So I'm gonna need to practice, and then I can go out with you guys.
It's over. Let's have some pool to play.
That's right. That's right. So leads me to my next question. You mentioned a little bit earlier about your position requires organization.
Mm-hmm.
I think your position requires a lot more than organization, grit, right? Staying on task, being committed. And again, the role is not an easy kind of thing for everybody. So with that being said, what motivates you to work hard? Other than family, we always say, because
Right.
we all
Yeah.
go to work to pay our bills and feed our family, right? But
Yep.
what other than family? What motivates you to work hard?
I think it's a selfish need of like time and financial freedom. I
Okay.
want to enjoy my life. I want to do a lot of fun things. And you think of having nice clothes, getting your nails done, getting your hair done, traveling takes money,
Yeah, it
and
does.
you have to work hard to have those things. And, treating family, there are a lot of times like I'll take my sister out and pay for her nails, or, if we want to go shopping, or it's just nice going to dinners being like, I got this, sis, or I got this
Right.
brother,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it is nice to be able, like, when you have that extra money to like help with your family, or
Mhm.
if they're ever in need, you're the one that can help. So I think it's
Right.
just nice. So again, I guess that kind of goes back to I work hard as a family, but at the same time, I kind of try to mix it at the beginning of if you want to travel and do things.
Yeah.
And and it frees up time. You know, before,
Does.
like I said, doing that door-to-door grind with AT&T specifically, it has 100% commission, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's how it was with the life insurance too. Like there's no buffer. So that's a lot. If you didn't work until 10 or 11, you know, you weren't getting paid. You know, so now it's like if I can do as much as I can with the time I have,
Right.
that does free up a lot of time for other things.
And honestly, that's a motivator in itself, is
Mhm.
you've been to the point where I know you'd mentioned before having that work-life balance and
Yeah.
being out, you know, you're working 18, 19 hours a day, you know, so that is a motivator for you to work hard in the 9 to 5 so that you don't have to go back to that lifestyle of, you know, being gone constantly. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. It's always interesting to hear people's answers to that, because you're like, well, what else do you work for if it's not for
Right.
like family or to free up your time,
right,
or, you know, it's not necessarily even having nice things. It's about being debt free. You know, honestly, it's really nice to be like, hey, you know, you don't have a lot of debt. So
yeah,
that's
I
just
want to do this, I want to
calming
do
in a
that,
sense.
and I
Yeah,
can. Yeah.
it's very calming.
Yeah.
Well, that leads me to my question. This is the one Angel always words it a lot better than I do, but I will have my attempt to see if after all of these coffee talks, see if I can get it worded correctly. So we, Angel and I, consider ourselves to be profilers, where, you know,
Okay.
we like to take a look at, you know, someone's personality, and a good way of seeing or identifying their personality type, oftentimes it can show in the type of TV shows or media that they watch. So, with that question, leads me to mine. What's your favorite TV show, the one that you're always watching on repeat?
It's crazy because I don't really necessarily have one that I'm just like, you know, I'm gonna watch it on repeat all the time. But to let you in on how cool this is, I love movies, I love series. I was trying to find it on my phone. You can't really tell, but I keep a whole list
Oh my
of
goodness.
all the series I've ever watched. There's easily like 300 in there.
Oh my
And then, like,
goodness. Talk
because
about
you're-
organization. You even have your
Right.
shows organized?
Oh, I'm OCD. You should see some of these lists. But like, there's some of them where if it's like, you know, a Sunday and you're like, oh, I don't know what to watch, you pull this sucker up and you're like, okay,
Right.
well, oh, I have hearts next to some of them. Oh, I definitely want to rewatch that. You know, and a couple of them, like that I could watch, The Office. That's
Mhm.
something
yes.
if you're going to bed and
Yeah,
you've already seen it before,
Mhm.
just put it on.
that's right.
Love that. I don't know if you guys ever watched Schitt's Creek
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
Netflix, the comedy. That is
Yes.
hilarious. But then you have your medical ones like Grey's Anatomy, that's, you know, what, 17 series deep. So you know
Right.
you can always like find an
Right.
old episode. Yeah.
So,
There's all
okay,
kinds of them.
I have to say, the content is not you necessarily because you like
Right.
everything, but the process of picking the content is totally you. You have a
Yes.
list of TV shows to watch.
Well,
So
you know,
you're-
and a lot of
you're
people, like my
driven.
family, everyone's really big into movies and stuff. So we're always talking about, like, whenever my family and I get together, it's what's the latest movie you've seen? Or what's
Right.
one of the series you're watching? And, you know, I sometimes it's like squirrel. I can't remember what I just watched, you know, a couple weeks ago. So by having the list, I can say,
Love
here
it.
are some things.
Right.
Morgan,
yeah.
I want to be you when I grow up. I have no organization at all, and so yeah, I think organization, you run on it, right?
Yeah.
You definitely thrive on having it all together. So awesome, good for
Well,
you.
thanks. I think it's just one of those things, you know, I've always had ADHD growing up, and like in college and now as an adult, sometimes like it'll flare up or I'm like, so I've learned to be super organized.
I love it.
You know, I've learned all kinds of tips and tricks, you know, with work and in personal life. So it's like,
Right.
you know, we have a big calendar in there that everything's written down.
I love
That's
that.
awesome.
I think you
Oh,
could
great.
give classes. If you need a
Right.
side hustle, I think you should give
Meet my
classes.
mom.
That's right.
She's the queen. she's one of those like people that's cleaning the kitchen and you're not even done with your plate yet. No, it's if you look away for 1 second, it's already gone and washed.
Your
Like,
fork is removed from your hand.
Right. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, I wasn't done with that.
yeah, she is the queen of like organization. So that's definitely where I get that, I think, as well.
That's funny.
Mhm.
Well, you told me about the letter from a past client, so we can't use that. But tell me about your proudest achievement. And it doesn't have to be work related. It could be personal. What is your proudest achievement?
Well, the one originally I was going to go with was work related. Doing that AT&T internet sales, they did a huge contest where I think it was like 10 winners total, over 10 weeks. And each week, whoever had the most sales of the whole East Coast, you got a full week trip to Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think I got it on week 4 or 5, but it was really cool. We got a +1. Everything was like top notch. It was really
That's
nice.
That.
But that was a really great trip. Puerto Rico was beautiful. But as far as like a personal achievement, I think, just life. I don't know. I was really excited, getting my bachelor's degree and, in school, I was in a sorority. I worked 2
Right.
jobs. I was in different sales clubs, sales and marketing clubs.
Mhm.
So just being able to manage or balance all those plates and
Right.
still get a really great GPA and, be on time, like, to me, that was really cool.
Well, it
And I
sets
feel
you
like
up
you're still
for the
carrying it over,
success. Yep.
right? Yes. You're still
There's
carrying
always
it over.
balancing plates, whether it's work, being a stepmom, being a girlfriend, being a dog mom. These guys are really needy. Like trying to be healthy and going to the gym. There's like all these things
Right.
that you're all constantly trying to balance and find time for. So I definitely think that's definitely transferred over.
You've had a lot of practice and a lot of success from it, so that's
Right.
great.
Your hard work's
So-
paid off. So
Right.
you could definitely, that's an achievement in itself. You work hard for where you
Indeed.
are, right? You put in
Work
the
hard,
time.
play hard.
That's right. That's
right.
right.
Yeah.
So that leads to our final question. This is one that we always invite all of our interviewees, if they want to dance a little bit, if you want to sing a couple tunes, a couple bars, that's completely fine as well. So what's one song or artist that you're embarrassed to admit that you like?
I'm not really embarrassed about any music that I like. I guess I could go with more of like the things you wouldn't expect me to like.
Okay, we'll take that.
I love 80s music. Like when we're out playing pool or whatever, I'm always like that jukebox app on your phone.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm always like playing like Journey, Queen, Foreigner, Blondie. I'm always playing like those old school musics.
Well, I
Oh.
think playing pool is synonymous with 80s music with the
Love
jukebox
80s.
anyway.
No,
You know.
you'd be surprised. Most people are like, they just know it's me playing it. They're like, who's playing this music? They know.
That's
Or if
funny.
it's the millennial, like Britney Spears. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. I was right in that era of her, and I will always be a Life fan. I don't care
Right.
how old I am. I'm always like, save Britney like, for her. And I'm not ashamed of that. Like, it's whatever. I'm in my low 30s. I'm like right in that Britney Spears fan age.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. We identify with the 80s because we actually listened to it live in the 80s,
Right.
so we get it.
Right,
I
yes.
love it. Just the beat. I don't know, like Madonna. I just love like that, the background music. I don't know. It's a lot different than like as music changes.
It does.
over time.
It really does. And it's so interesting to listen. I mean, even like I was listening to a song from the 30s the other day, and like what would have been cool and zippy in the 30s is totally not what be cool and zippy today. So
No.
it's
Yeah.
very segmented as to what people like. That's
Mhm.
absolutely true.
I went through a huge jazz phase
Mm,
there for a
Okay.
minute, just because I do play the saxophone.
okay.
Here and there. I haven't played in the last 4 years, just with being busy and stuff. But like, I always loved playing jazz.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
So, I don't know. And then that's like really good. Like if I'm cleaning, sometimes I'll like play it on. Just the music, the instruments, and like the swing notes. I don't know.
I feel like you would be the most fun person to
I'll
hang
be
out
on
with.
this.
Right.
I love it. Yes, you would be
Playing
so
pool
fun.
with
You
a
have
saxophone tied to your back, and in between turns, you're just throwing. I would love it.
I need to get it out. Yeah, but no, it's been a couple years, and I'm like, oh, I need to dust it off.
So I'm letting everybody know we haven't actually talked about this, but there is talk of a virtual talent show coming up. So you're gonna have to
Yes.
get that sax out, get it all dusted off so that we
That's
can hear
right.
you play. No,
That's
I
right.
didn't hear maybe. I heard yes.
Yeah. It's weird though, like talent shows. I'm like, that was my only talent. Like when I tried to do like Miss Ohio pageants towards the end of my college career, like probably junior, senior year. And I was like, I have no talent. That was the only thing I could think of because I did it sometimes, like back in middle school, you know, when you
Right.
like you pick an instrument and play. Man, I worked so hard that year before those pageants were coming up. Like I hired a music teacher, got a pass to the School of Music at OU, and had my own like test room, you know, that we just would practice in. Oh, that was so much like relearning that instrument. And again, it was jazz. It was like the choo 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 boogie where you're playing and then you're singing, playing and singing.
Cool. Okay, so
All
it has
right,
to happen.
we have
You
our
just talked
first
yourself
one.
right into it.
Yes,
That's right.
that's right.
That's right.
But
Well, thank you for taking time away. We know obviously you just shared how busy your life is, right? Busy work
Mhm.
is. So thank you for carving out 30 minutes for us. We appreciate it so much.
Well,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
joining us for this episode of Coffee Talk, Everyday Conversations, Everyday People.